Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the Closing Bell on the Stock Movers Report. The companies making moves at the close of U.S. trading with Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, Romaine Bostick, and Scarlett Fu.
The S&P 500, most names in the index higher today, 313 to the upside, and Katie, 188 to the downside, 2 unchanged.
Let's take a look at the sectors as measured by my friend The Circle. And you can see that, again, a risk-on day. Look at information technology. That is bright green. That was one of your big gainers today, up about 2.7% as a sector. Communication services also higher by about 2.5%. Consumer discretionary, industrials, the list goes on. In terms of what didn't exactly perform today, on the downside, you have consumer staples, real estate, and utilities. But again, that too fixed into this risk-on behavior that we saw.
All right, I'm going to go to the individual gainers. Let's start with Palantir. Shares closing almost 9% higher. Its best day since April 9th. So that stock, a top gainer in the S&P 500, also the NASDAQ 100. Keep in mind they were down about 11% last week. But jumping in today's session, I will point out Michael Burry and his Scion Asset Management. Remember just revealing about 1 week ago in a filing, a 13F filing, that at the end of September it owned a bearish put options on 5 million Palantir shares with the value of about $912 million. But there's been this back and forth evaluation on this one. Many say way overvalued, and we certainly saw investors rethink it last week. But nonetheless, investors coming back in a big way. Semiconductors, I mentioned. Definitely some outperformance in the overall sector today. I got to mention Micron Technology. This was one of the outperformers, up about 6.5% in today's session, and a top gainer in both the S&P and NASDAQ 100. Micron, too, was up about 6% last week, even though the SOX was overall down about 4% last week. But again, investors continuing to move into it. You also had TSMC. Got to mention that one. The ADRs that trade here up about 3%. That despite posting its slowest growth in 18 months amid the AI bubble debate. So that's been going on. And then I'm just going to mention Elf Beauty really quickly, up more than 8% after announcing today the brand's official launch at Ulta Beauty in Mexico. And just because I don't want Romaine to get on me, I got to mention C3 AI. That stock, just a quick bump, up as much as 12% intraday on the news from Reuters that they're exploring a potential sale or some other options, but the stock finishing with about a 3.6% gain at the close. So I'm done. All yours, Tim.
Anything, Romaine?
No, not yet, Tim. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Can't wait. I want to go with decliners. Shares of U.S. healthcare insurers and hospitals fell, including Centene, down 8.8% today. This as lawmakers come closer to ending a government shutdown without securing an extension of the Affordable Care Act. This was actually the worst performer on a percentage basis in the S&P 500. Now, as part of the Senate deal to end the shutdown, Democrats were able to obtain a pledge for a separate vote on healthcare tax credits in the coming weeks. I know.
They fell for that?
Yeah, we asked this question actually to Henrietta Trey's a little earlier.
Yeah.
And whether or not that vote would happen, or if Republicans would, come to the table in good faith. And she said that's the question she's been getting most from clients this afternoon.
What does Kalshi say? What are the prediction marks?
I haven't pulled it up.
Yeah. Me either.
Right now.
But I know what it says.
What does it say?
Probably 0.
Okay. Oscar Health. An honorable mention, fell 17.5%, another health insurer today. Shares of American Airlines also falling today, down 2.5%. The company said weekend operations were challenging amid the government shutdown.
Challenging?
I think challenging. Many people who were trying to fly, regardless of the airline, would agree that they were challenging.
Yeah.
1,400
bad it was, Tim?
were canceled.
I almost flew Frontier.
Oh.
Almost.
Oh, wow. That's really harsh.
Did you almost fire up the jet, Romaine?
Believe me, trust me. I was calling every friend I had in the
Is anyone flying north?
Yeah, pretty much.
You could have done the show from the Miami.
I was just going to stand outside, Palm Beach Airport and just hitchhike.
I mean, to be fair, plenty of planes are going that way. I always think about that. Yeah. You could have looked at an empty leg or something. Anyway, another few numbers here to just think about. American Airlines, government shutdown, canceling 1,400 flights. The company saw over 57,000 delay minutes. This is according to an email statement by David Seymour, the company's COO. They also said that 250,000 customers were affected. Separately, Bloomberg Second Measure out with some data that drew from a sample of credit and debit card purchases made by U.S. customers, and it said that transactions observed by Second Measure showed the biggest decline among airlines companies for the month ending October. That was American Airlines, down 6.5% from a year earlier. And finally, Metsera shares falling by close to 15% today. This after Novo Nordisk declined to further raise its offer for the company. They make experimental weight loss drug. That bidding war between Pfizer and Novo Nordisk coming to an end. Pfizer getting victorious. We spoke to Bob Langworth about this. He's got a great piece on the Bloomberg Terminal about how this deal came together with a little help from the U.S. Federal Trade Commission.
We should point out yields actually slightly higher on the day, despite what the market seems to think, which is that we are going to get some more rate cuts given the state of the economy and the potential of that government shutdown to end. Meanwhile, we are keeping an eye on earnings. We're waiting to hear from CoreWeave, and we're starting to get a trickle of news right now on Paramount Skydance. I don't actually have the numbers for you just yet, but reading through the shareholder letter that they've put out, they're talking a lot about the cost cutting and efficiencies that they've seen. The company says that it sees about $3 billion plus in total efficiencies now, and what they're saying is the first 100 days since they basically closed out on that deal. The company also talks about investing in the business, and get this, they're also talking about implementing price increases in the United States early in the first quarter of 2026. So, of course, David Ellison, who is just now sort of taking control over this company, putting a stamp on it, looking to raise potential prices there on its customers and scale back costs to a certain degree, $3 billion in efficiencies. That's up from the $2 billion that the company had previously telegraphed, and now learning that the company plans to reduce its workforce by an additional 1,600 employees.
Let's put a pin in Paramount right now and quickly talk about the real reporting earnings here. You can see shares are actually soaring after hours. They boosted their full year revenue forecast. They also beat estimates when it comes to the look behind. Let's start there. The third quarter adjusted loss per share coming in at 4 cents. The estimated loss per share had been for 5.6 cents, so a little bit narrower than expected. You think about the look ahead here. The Real sees fourth quarter revenue $188 million to $191 million. The estimate had been for $179.5 million, so that range ahead of the estimate. You can see the Real again, shares now up about 10% after hours.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.